Hi, welcome to this morning's professional development, where we will understand the backward design model and application of the backwards design model. My name is Michelle Reed. I'm your principal. Today's topic is once again principles of the backward design model and understanding that core idea through both reflection and sharing of application of that process. Today's norms, just a reminder, be reflective and actively engage in today's activities and discussions, as well as ask questions to seek clarification. First, question and reflection and table talk. You'll have 5 minutes to discuss the following question. What is the end of the road or ultimate goal for our students? What are some academic roadblocks or challenges they may face along the way? Our next question for reflection and table talk, as we begin to get some ideas rolling in our minds, what are some potential dangers of a get in the car and drive approach to lesson design and teaching? What are some potential dangers of a get in the car and drive approach to lesson design and teaching? All right, so I think we've all arrived at the core idea of backwards design. It is simply this: lessons designed to prepare students to meet long-term goals with interim checkpoints are more effective and impactful than lessons that simply address ideas or concepts. So in other words, there is an end result that we want all of our students to meet, and in order to get to that end result, we have to stop along the way and check for deep understanding of those long-term curriculum goals and learning goals. So now we're going to discuss what backwards design is and what it is not. First of all, backwards design is this idea that when we determine what mastery of a student expectation within the TEKS looks like, this will become the prerequisite to develop focused lessons that guide students to perform at the highest level in the end result or ultimate mastery we want each of the students to reach. It is not teaching to the test. It's not another method of teaching to the test. In no way is backwards design a student preparation model for testing successfully. It's a way to use high-level assessments as tools for planning for the road ahead. Next, I want us to discuss the following quote before we get involved in the backwards design process and the steps for creating an effective lesson today. The quote I would like for you to discuss is to begin with the end in mind. And just at your table, just discuss what this means to you, and then we'll have some share outs afterwards. So now that we've kind of talked about beginning with the end in mind, I want to take you through a series of 10 steps that I think are going to be essential to you being successful in designing for this model. And we're going to put these steps into application using one of the 6th grade math TEKs and SEs listed within that TEK. First of all, we start with interim assessment. The big end of the road point that you want your students to get to. And we need to identify questions that are aligned with those TEKs, and so that you know what you're going to be teaching each and every day. From there, we work backwards. We want to be able to assess our students quickly and give them a specific level of mastery we want them to reach by designing an exit ticket which demonstrates learning for that day, consisting of no more than a 5-minute activity, 10-minute activity at the most, 2 to 3 questions in a variety of formats, multiple choice, open-ended, but they must be aligned to that Step 1, interim assessment. Next, you need to create an exemplar response for that exit ticket. What does exemplary or mastery level look like at 100%? And that will be something you show to the students before they actually engage in their exit ticket activity or question. Once you have that exemplar response, you then develop that exit ticket statement or question, and also what percentage or performance measurement for that day would you like the students to achieve at? Would you like 100% of your students to score between 90 and 100? Do you want 100% students just to get above 75%, 80%? I would always suggest shooting between 85 and 100% for 100% of your students, because that is the direct sort of measurement you need for, are they getting what I'm teaching and how I'm teaching it? So that's very important. Step 5. Halfway there. Using steps 1 through 4 now, we go back to the TEKS and develop that learning objective for that day's lesson, specifically aligned to that exit ticket and that exemplar. Next, you want to find ways to communicate the learning objective in a way that students know what it is they're learning, why it is important, how it connects to life, what mastery looks like. And the TEK and student expectation you have today, I think, is a good starting point for looking at how these questions can be answered by the way in which we write our learning objective. Also allows students an opportunity to discuss learning objective by doing step 7, which is making sure you have that bell ringer, warm up, appetizer, hook, whatever you want to call it. Do now. Connect that to that day's lesson or the previous day's lesson, so that you can see that learning is happening and there's no gaps that are being formed in between. Also use a timer. Back to step 8. You want to develop an essential question that's guiding that lesson. What is it that you would like the students to be able to answer by the end of the period? Making sure that's scaffolded towards that exit ticket. And also plan for 3 to 4 key questions that address any misconceptions. So sort of preempt those so that you're constantly guiding students toward mastering that objective. Step 9, plan the content, learning strategies. How do you want to get the students the information? How will we know if they're on track? What are we looking for? Are we adding in checks for understanding and multiple response strategies? Are we modeling for the student? Are we guiding them in practice? Are we giving them a chance to independently practice? Also, in the final steps, you create the way in which you will deliver that lesson. Do you need videos? Do you need visuals? Do you need a PowerPoint? Do you use Prezi? Do you use other online tools? So those things will have to be planned out as well. And then finally, the little stuff. How will the kids put the materials away before you deliver that demonstration of learning? How will you collect that exit ticket? How will you check for understanding? Will this be something you do student by student? Will you give them a chance to fix what's wrong? Will you give them a chance to achieve mastery to 100%? Once you do that, take the ones that got achieved mastery in one pile, take the ones that did not in the other pile, and then examine what was mastered and what was not mastered and why it was not mastered, and then that closes that learning gap. And that is why you start with the end in mind, so that you have fewer and fewer that are in the not mastered pile than you do in the mastery pile. And you can quickly see if they learned what you needed them to learn or wanted them to learn for that day. We're going to end today by applying these steps. You're going to take the following TEKS and, using the backwards design process, develop an effective lesson. At the end, the goal for us is to be able to share and compare each lesson and evaluate its effectiveness, and see if it was indeed aligned with the 10 steps and of the backwards design model. So we're going to get started. The TEKS you'll be working with is personal finance literacy. The specific expectation for the students would be to compare features and costs of a checking account and a debit card offered by a different local financial institution. Definitely a student expectation that we can have a lot of fun with and really get these kids engaged in a life skill that they will definitely need and use. I look forward to seeing all of your lessons.